wake up. It's time to wake up. Time to wake up. Welcome back, everybody. A little late today. I was buying a new couch. Buying a new couch. See, I knew you would want to know more about my couch. That's why I told you. Whenever I said I got a new couch, I was like, oh. Sabi's gonna want to hear about this. Welcome back, everybody. Hey, brain guy, I've finally come to terms with how my brother treats cats. Respectfully and with love, I'm hoping. There is no other way to treat cats. Alright. So I'm here. We had to run out to the furniture store. We got a new couch and we got a new recliner. This is obviously not my house. This is just a stock photo, but this is the color that we got them in, and these are the two pieces we got. We got the sofa and we got the recliner. So this is the sofa. It's got reclining seats. Got it in like a caramel color. Like a caramel. It's not very dark brown, it's more like a medium, like a lighter brown. And then we got the chair as well. It's pretty sleek. They were both on sale. They were both on sale too. Nebraska Furniture Mart was doing a sale on their. They were doing a sale on their sofas and stuff, so we got a pretty good deal on it. That was 16 at the time. Therapy. You know, let me just speak hypothetically, because I can't say that I would do these things to a person, obviously. So I have to speak hypothetically. But if I were in charge, if I made the rules, I would have a rule where if you did something to an animal, the punishment that you received was they had to do that to you as well. That would be, if I was in charge, if I made all the rules, if I woke up tomorrow and the people of Earth were just collectively clamoring around me and saying, please, lead us, and I was like, alright, new rule. You leave your dog chained up outside all winter, your punishment, you have to stay chained up outside all winter. You kick the cat, somebody bigger comes along and has to kick you. I feel like that to me sounds fair. But some people might be like, "Oh, that's not fair." I don't care. It's just always a bad sign when somebody treats something that's, you know, something innocent, something harmless. I have to confess, when I was very young, I tossed one of my cats down the stairs. Well, you were very young, and also cats can survive great heights. And I'm not saying it was okay, but I'm saying your cat was probably fine. It's not like spinning it around or like spinning it around by the arms. It's like that could hurt the cat pretty bad. But yeah, that's the new sofa and recliner we got. I'm excited. They get here on Friday. Oh, Justice for Cricket. Justice for Cricket was in reference to was it a turtle? It was a turtle that somebody like their neighbor was like throwing stuff at somebody like or something. It was a small donkey. Oh, I thought it was a turtle. Why did I think it was a tortoise? I thought it was about you. I'm gonna be honest, I thought it was about you for a second too, but then I remembered. Anyway, welcome back. Welcome back to the Brain Domain. How you doing? How you feeling today? My ex told me his mom would have him kill rats with a hammer in the garage and he would get a big thrill from it, and that was a red flag for me. I'm sorry, what? I'm sorry, what? It's like, yes, I remember the thrill of battle. The bloodlust. I remember. Yeah, like mistreatment of animals is something that very rarely comes up here, so we're all animal lovers here. Did you know Crick is a musical artist too, like generational type of artist? Oh, we know. We know Cricket's got talent. Oh, the song you made. Yeah, it's posted in the Discord if anybody wants to check it out. I haven't checked it out myself. I've been at the furniture store today. How are you feeling today, though? Hmm? How would you say? New couch today? Yeah, we went out to Nebraska Furniture Mart. They were having a sale on couches. So we got a new couch. We got a new recliner. Hey, Papa B, hey, Outcast Joe, how's it going? Nebraska mentioned. Nebraska Furniture Mart is gigantic. It's such a large building. There's so much stuff in there. I'm gonna start relearning math today from kindergarten up. Oh. I would say that my favorite time period for math was elementary school. That was actually kind of fun. Like adding, subtracting. Oh, yeah. I can get behind that. When they started mixing numbers and letters together, I was like, now what are we talking about? And then they started mixing in two numbers and or like two letters in with the numbers. I'm like, get out of here. See, I think I could have been fine at math if I had good math teachers. My problem in math was that the math teachers I had were all kind of terrible. I mean, I had one math teacher who was alright, but she was also kind of mean. But, I mean, she taught high school math, so I mean, like, that's going to have an effect on a person. You have to deal with high schoolers all day, and you have to try to get them to learn about math. My math teachers hating being teachers. That's how I felt about it too. They would just be writing stuff on the board and they're like, all right, now you need to do this, and now you need to balance both sides of the equation, and then you need to find the sum of the hypotenuse. And I'm just like, hold on. What? Can we slow it down a little bit? I'm like, what the fuck are you talking about? I'm like, where did you get these numbers from? What, like I could get it if you actually like broke it down and explained it to me, but there's just so much that they were like just and then just do this, and I'm just like, I don't know what that means. I don't know what it's mean. You say I need to do this thing, but I don't know what you mean. You're like, okay, so you have to take both sides of the equation. I'm like, okay. Then you have to cross multiply. I'm like, okay. And then you have to take the sum of the hypotenuse, and I'm like, what the? Okay. Like, never mind. Like, never mind. Like, the highest level of math I had to take was college algebra, and I took college algebra and I barely passed. And then I was done with math. But then I actually had to take statistics, which is kind of math, but it's not like it was math that I could do. It was my kind of math. So I took statistics. I took statistics as an undergrad, and I also had to take it in grad school. And you know what? The teacher that I had for statistics in grad school was so chill. He was so chill. He's like, open book exams. He's like, there's no point in you needing to memorize all these formulas. You're psychologists. If you need to know the formula, you know where to find it in the book. So why would you need to memorize it? And I'm like, yes, somebody who gets it. Did I have to use my graphing calculator a lot? Well, you know what fucked me up was graphing calculators were expensive. So I never got one. And so I just winged my way through that part of math class. My parents were like, we're not paying $150 for a calculator. I'm like, I know, I don't think you should have to pay that either. Like, I'll just try my best, and then, like, because you didn't even need them for every single problem in class. You only need, like, I'll just miss those questions. I'll just do the other questions that I can do with the regular calculator. And when it comes to a graph, I'll wing it. Oh, hello. Oh, hello. Welcome in. You love mental health and psychology, you know? Me too. Me too. $150. Yeah, those graphing calculators were expensive, and this was like 2005 money. 2005, $150? That's like $200 today. That's insane. I know. I know it's insane because they didn't give us the calculators that we needed for the class. They made us buy them. And then if you didn't have them, you were just shit out of luck. It was really stupid. What's so special about them? You can plug in a formula and it'll show you a graph. It'll go, ooh. It'll show you a little sine wave. If I had a graphing calculator in school, I would have been one of the kids that like hacked it so that it could run a video game or something. That's what I would have been doing. I wouldn't have been actually using it for class. I'm just being completely honest. I never really felt that passionate about math. Oh, the numbers, they speak to me. Never had that happen. What do you do when you can't necessarily pick a feeling? Let's start with a color. If you had to pick one of these color groups, get into coding, so I feel understanding math better will help a lot with that. I guess it depends on what you're trying to code. My understanding coding is just a lot of like logic statements. Alright, gang, we got some ground to cover, and at 7 o'clock, I'm meeting with my friends to do our weekly RPG game. So let's get down to business, shall we? Enough fooling around. Let's get to it. Yep. Oh, let me tell you something. I was familiarizing myself with some research. I was reading up on psychological research, and there are a lot of psychologists who have been doing research in changing the way that we quantify mental illness. And so instead of going through the existing like DSM where it's like you have to meet certain criteria to be diagnosed with this thing, because as you and I both know that there are flaws with that system, the new system or the proposed system would be a hierarchy of different types of symptoms broken into like different clusters. And so I'm gonna do a write-up on that, but it's gonna take me a minute because I have to like translate it from this I mean, it's in English, but it's in academic English, which is basically not. Honestly, I haven't had to sit down and read academic research articles since graduate school. Like, I still will from time to time, but I'm gonna be honest, I don't miss it. If I'm gonna be honest, I don't miss it. It's just sometimes the way that they will phrase things or the words that they will use, it's like, you can tell they're just trying to sound smart. It's like there's a more simple and concise way to like convey an idea, but sometimes they just overinflate it with these like $10 words. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna break it down a little bit and I'm gonna talk about it a little bit later. Maybe not this week, but hopefully sometime here in the next couple days. All right, let's get into it. We've got some questions lined up. It's cricket, bitch. Welcome back to another episode of Trauma Dumping on a Twitch Therapist. Today's trauma to dump about the reasons behind my daddy issues. Are we ready? Are we seated? I just want to ask, do you feel, because I just want to make sure, do you feel like this helps you to heal? And being able to talk about this and share this with people? I just want to, I'm just looking out for you. It does? Okay. Well, if it does, that's what we're all about, and if I just double check. I mean, does anyone here not have daddy issues? Does anyone here have a good dad? Does anybody here have a dad where they're like, that's a fine dad? Anybody have a fine dad? Did anybody have like a Tim Waltz type dad? If you did, you lucked out. Because as far as I know, that's a bit uncommon. My dad was good until he started watching Joe Rogan. Damn, you should get your dad to watch BrainDomain. Like, Dad, you think Joe's woke? Check out this guy. Oh wait, no, don't say that. He might not. No, that I take it back. Your dad actually recognized his wrongs from when you were younger, and he really tries to just love me for me now. I love that for you, honestly. And I feel like for a lot of people, that's the best you can hope for. Is because, when your parents are raising you, it's like most of the time when parents are raising children, like they're scared children themselves. It's like we come from a line of generation, children raising children. Just there's gonna be mistakes, there's gonna be fuck ups, there's gonna be hardships. But what you want to see is accountability to that and say, you know what? I know that I failed. I know that I came up short in many ways, but I was just trying my best. And I feel like just hearing that from a parent would just really be great for a lot of people. Just to be able to hear, like, I know I wasn't perfect. I know that there are some ways that I really messed up. But you just want to hear from them, that they love you and they want to see you have a happy life. And, you know, I feel like a lot of people could use to hear that. Definitely not me projecting. I know I've mentioned numerous times in chat about having trauma related to my biological father, hence the fact that literally any man who is remotely kind to me ends up becoming my favorite person. I wanted to actually talk in depth about what actually went on to the best of my knowledge. This is going to be a long one, probably the longest I've submitted to date, but that is what is necessary to thoroughly convey the extent of the absolute fuckery that caused me to develop these daddy issues, which are certainly one of the most interpersonally debilitating aspects of my life. I really just need to tell my story and get this shit off my chest. And just in looking at this real quick, it's a long question, but I don't know if it's the longest question. It might be, but I don't know if it is. We've had some pretty long ones, and I don't mind long questions. Long questions just give me more to talk about. Before I get into it, I believe I should probably preface this with a trigger warning because the subject matter of details about to get into are quite heavy, including but not limited to domestic violence, sexual deviancy, psychological abuse, including towards children, child neglect, coercive control, addiction to porn and marijuana, misogyny, wrongful incarceration, and shaming of personal reproductive health decisions. Just another Wednesday on the brain domain. Yes, throughout the entirety of this story, I'm going to be referring to my biological dad as my SD, sperm donor. That is what I always call him because I truly do not believe he's deserving of being called a father in any sense of the word. So if you're ready for this, buckle up. Are we buckled? Chat, are we buckled? Your buckle is buckled. Can somebody help Dom Palto? Their buckles not work. Their buckles not working. You might have to trade seats with someone. I'm the youngest of 7 children in a blended family. I have 4 older half sisters, 1 older half brother, and 1 older full sibling who was AFAB but identifies as non binary. My non binary sibling is the second youngest out of all 7 of us, being about 3.5 years older than me. Let's start at the very beginning. My mom lived in the UK for about 10 years between the 80s and 90s. She had her first 2 kids in the 80s, my only brother and one of my half sisters. In 94, she left the UK abruptly with the 2 kids in order to flee from the children's dangerously violent and abusive father. Honestly, good on her for getting out. Can you imagine the stress of having to leave a country to get away from an abusive partner? And to take your kids with you? I can only imagine that would be so stressful. Honestly, very brave. Within months of returning to Canada, she went out to a bar one evening for a night out with some female friends. This was where she met a man who repeatedly pestered her into dancing with her and exchanging phone numbers until she eventually gave in. After just 1 week of knowing each other, they started dating, and within a couple months of dating, he proposed to her with a second-hand engagement ring he had purchased from a pawn shop. This man is the one who would turn out to become none other than my sperm donor. Later that same year, they got married, but there wasn't even anything remotely close to a wedding. They signed the marriage papers in their home, wearing casual clothes and only a few close family members in attendance. Literally just a sign your I do papers type of thing, but it wasn't long before all hell broke loose. In November 99, my non-binary sibling was born. Within days of the new baby's birth, my mom was already having to go with my SD to his workplace every day that he worked, or sit in his home office with him whenever he worked from home. He worked at a computer tech parts shop and also did freelance TV repair from the basement on the side, but wherever he was going to be, she quite literally had to be there with him. He wouldn't let her out of his sight because he was convinced she was going to cheat on him. She described to me a time where she had to sit with him in the basement, put a cardboard box on the floor, fill it with packing peanuts and baby toys, and put her young child into the box next to her and just sit there until he finished working. This guy sounds like a real piece of work. In the early 2000s, his extremely odd sexual interests also became apparent. He had an absolute obsession with visiting adult video stores where porn VHS tapes were sold and rented, and he insisted that he had to travel out of the province in order to get the best porn tapes. In my local province, adult videotapes were legally required to be at least partially censored at the time, but if you crossed provincial borders and got porn tapes over there, they were completely uncensored. My man's over here crossing provincial lines for the sake of gooning. Give me one moment. I'm gonna let the dog out of the room. She's scratching at the door. I just gotta say, the whole this whole era of human nature, or this era of human history, where people had to have collections of pornography. That's just so weird to me. You know what I mean? Like, isn't that just so strange? It's like a prized possession for people. Kind of weird when you think about it. On more than one occasion, he took the kids and my mom on 3-hour car rides across provincial borders. Remember, she was not allowed to be out of his sight, to the adult video stores. Went into the stores by himself and spent up to 4 hours browsing the selection of rentable porn tapes, leaving my mom and the kids to just sit in the car the entire time. I'm gagged. I'm speechless. This is like no shame, nothing at all. Like, you're gonna bring your family and be like, all right, everybody, stay out here. I'll be in the store. And then he's in there for hours. He's like, nah, this isn't right. He's like, nah, this one doesn't do it for me. Or I've seen this one before. I need some. Like, what? There's just so much to this. It's like, first off, you had to be there. And then second off, you had to wait outside. And then third off, he was in there for hours? Hey, Dr. Bobby from Doctor to Doctor. Cheers. Hope you have a great week as well. Thank you for the kind words. Like, this guy this guy has severe issues. This guy has some severe issues, I'm just being honest. Like, anybody who can't let their partner out of their sight because they are afraid that their partner is going to go cheat on them, I'm like, go to therapy. Like, go get help. Like, that's not okay. That's not normal. Like, they're not your prisoner. They're your partner. You should be able to trust them. What are we talking about? Daddy issues. After renting his chosen tapes, what he would then do was absolutely fucking gross. He'd get blank tapes, extract the contents of the rented porn tapes, and edit the video content using a VHS recorder. He would specifically make very short clip recordings, 5 to 10 seconds, of the most graphic moments within the pornographic scenes. Oh my god, he was making Gooner reels? He was making Gooner compilations in the 90s with VHS tapes? That's advanced porn sickness. That's advanced porn sickness. This literally is like the end game of like severe porn addiction. It's like you're literally just perusing hours of content and then distilling it to just the most like that, what's a good word for this? The most explicit bits, I guess. He'd make compilations of these clips that are up to an hour in length and put the compilations into his own VHS tapes. He had entire boxes full of these homemade porn compilation tapes. Apparently, he would need to have those gross compilations playing in the background during sex, otherwise, he wouldn't be able to finish. This is what happens when you fuck your brain up with porn addiction. You can't have normal, regular intimacy because you've just blown out all of your dopamine receptors because you couldn't help but just keep hammering your hog. Shut up, Atticus. That dog's just out there barking. I'm like, shut up. That dog will just bark for no reason. He's doing it right now. You probably hear her yelling at him to be quiet. The thing about Atticus is that he has barked so frequently and so loudly during the course of his life that he has literally affected his ability to hear. And so now he doesn't even know how loud he is. And so he'll actually be louder than he would otherwise normally be because he can't hear shit. I love that dog to death, but those barks, they vibrate my bones. They make me uncomfortable on a physical level. He will sit outside and just be completely unfazed by fireworks. I don't think he hears them. That dog has literally barked himself deaf. And you know what? He loved every fucking second of it. He wouldn't change it for the fucking world. And that's what I love about him. He definitely hears him. Well, if he does hear him, he doesn't give a shit. He was outside just completely unfazed. It was just another day of the week for him. The other dogs were inside, scared, just hiding and laying down in their beds. But he was just like, how's it going? What's up? Just unfazed. I just appreciate that he's able to live his genuine life. He's able to just be himself without regret. That being said, he can be... Hound dogs have a reputation. That's all I'll say. So obviously very humiliating for any woman during intimacy. Oh, absolutely. Oh, absolutely. Yeah, this is just degrading, this is dehumanizing, this is humiliating. Just the levels of porn sickness here. I'm just like, something happened to this guy, and something happened to him, and he just got fucked up. In 2000, my mom had become pregnant again by him, but as she had literally just had another baby near the end of 99, she was not ready to have another child and chose to have an abortion. SD was absolutely infuriated by her choice, still believing that she wanted to have sex with as many men as possible without consequences. Did this man have like a traumatic brain injury or something? Did he like fall and hit his head? Did he have a workplace accident? I'm like, just tell me there's something that can explain just this outlandish behavior. Like, I just don't like to believe that people can be like this. In 2002, my mom became pregnant with me as a result of a malfunctioning IUD. I was born in April '03. The day I was born, he abandoned my mom in the hospital for almost 12 hours, and by the time he finally did come back, I had already been born. Following the birth of me, she was officially done with having children and chose to have her tubes tied. Once again, my SD was enraged and believed she was doing this for the sole purpose of promiscuity. Like, I don't condone cheating, but I'm just like, I don't condone cheating. Like, I abhor it. But I feel like this guy deserved it to happen to him. Of all the people in the world that deserve to be cheated on, this guy deserves to be cheated on. It's just such creepy, manipulative, controlling behavior. For the next few years, he showed a consistent pattern of giving absolutely zero fucks about supporting his family in any way, especially financially. He didn't make a whole lot of income to begin with, and my mother had become a stay-at-home mom in order to support me after my autism diagnosis at age 3. But any money he did make, all of it was spent on either his porn addiction or his marijuana addiction. All of it. Not a single penny went towards paying for food, utilities, mortgage, clothes, or any other basic necessities. Oh, so he was a loser, is what I'm hearing. Another word for that would be a deadbeat dad, but I feel like that's even being too gracious. Even deadbeat dads try sometimes. This guy just sounds like a loser. He'd also smoke his weed inside the house, despite my siblings' complaints about how the house reeked of weed and my mom's repeated attempts to convince him to just take it outside. Right, because back in those days, like, they're gonna call you out for it. You go to school and you're smelling like weed, they're gonna, it's gonna cause problems for you. Fast forward to September '08. This was when the last straw of their marriage finally snapped. At this time I was 5 and my non-binary sibling was 9. One day my parents were in the kitchen arguing and screaming at each other, which was sadly but unsurprisingly a regular occurrence. My sibling and I came out of the kitchen at one point that evening to grab a snack, but upon entering the kitchen we saw police officers standing by the door as my mom looked at us and yelled at us to go back to our rooms before she walked out of the house with a police officer. Good for her. Good for her for getting out. Good for her for, honestly. Following this, SD came back into the house, went into the office and sat on the floor, staring blankly at the wall and grunting with anger. I was extremely confused, so I approached him to ask what just happened and why he was so grumpy. He said something along the lines of, "There's been some shit that just happened, you're never going to see your mom again." He wouldn't tell me anything further. Wait, what? Wait, what? Whenever the police were there, I was assuming that they were there to get rid of this porn-sick freak. I thought that's what the police were there for. So he wasn't mad because he had to leave. He wasn't mad because he was having to get kicked out. He was mad because he had to take care of his children. They arrested her? Fuck the police. The police are so bad in domestic abuse situations, and you know why that is? Because at least 40% of police are domestic abusers. And that's probably an underestimate. That's probably me being kind. For the next month or so, my sibling and I remained at home in the sole care of the sperm donor. That privilege, however, was eventually revoked from him because he neglected us significantly. He would lay down on the couch and sleep literally all day, did not give us clean clothes or bathe us, barely fed us, didn't clean or tidy the house at all whatsoever, and was pretty much always behaving in a snappy, hostile manner. After he lost custody, both of us were placed in a foster home. I only stayed in foster care very briefly before ultimately going to stay under the care of my oldest sister and my godmother, while my non-binary sibling stayed behind in the foster home. Allegedly, the other kids in the foster home relentlessly bullied and abused my sibling to the point of trying to kill them by holding their head underwater in the backyard pool. Jesus Christ. The foster system, everybody. That's the foster care system for you. Eventually, we finally got to see my mom for the first time in several months. I still had absolutely no idea what actually happened, and I asked her numerous times over the next decade what happened when you went away with the police. But she always told me that's a grown-up conversation. I wouldn't find out the truth until many years later when I was in my teens. It turns out that during the argument between them that day, he had escalated the situation into physical aggression by attempting to grab and shove her against the wall. With only a fraction of a second to react, she counteracted his attack by swinging her fist at him, and she ended up punching him square in the nose and giving him a nosebleed. My mom tried to tell my sibling to call 911 for help, but my SD took the phone away from them and made them call himself, claiming that his wife was beating him. To call this person a man is insulting to men. This is vile. Wow. When police showed up, they basically took his side and completely believed his version of events. Yup. Yup. That tracks. And they instantaneously arrested my mother for battery and revoked all her access to her children. Jesus fucking Christ. The system, not only were you failed by a person who is supposed to be a protector and a caregiver for you, you were also let down by the system. Because the system that is also supposed to take care of you and to help protect you also failed you. She was legally forbidden from even having any family member contact my sibling and I on her behalf, otherwise she would risk more criminal charges and an even harsher penalty. Why? There was no... This doesn't even make sense. There were no indicators that there was any abuse being directed towards the children. And normally courts and, they can make that distinction. They're like, yes, the parent is of no threat to the children. They do that by interviewing the children. They do that by assessing the situation. Because even if two parents fight each other, that doesn't mean that they're fighting the children. And so this doesn't make any sense. This just does way more harm than it does any good. You're not protecting the children, you're actually harming the children. I am furious right now. I don't know if you can tell by the tone of my voice, but I am enraged. I've had to work firsthand with this system, and I've seen the flaws and I've seen the failings of this system. And this is a big failure of the system. For the first few days after her arrest, she spent time incarcerated in a local women's jail, during which she shared a jail cell with two other women who were awaiting trial for attempted murder. She did manage to get bail and was released from jail, although I don't know where she ended up going after this. She was still not allowed to go within a certain vicinity of our home, nor have any direct or indirect contact with us. My mom knew in her heart that this whole situation was unfair and unjust, but she knew her only way out was to play along until he and the authorities would let their guard down. Whatever she was forced to do, no matter how wrong, she did it cooperatively, including being legally ordered to attend couples therapy with the sperm donor and attending a rehabilitation support group for abusive partners. I'm proud of her, though. I'm proud of your mom. Honestly. Strong woman. She told me one thing in particular that he had said to her during this time, and it sends chills through my body. If I tell you to jump, you're going to ask me how fucking high. Apparently during the couples therapy sessions, my SD spoke to and about my mom in such an extreme level of rudeness and disrespect that he was asked to leave the room, and my mom was encouraged to seek individual therapy herself as a victim of psychological abuse. Thank God. Okay, thank fucking God. Thank fucking God somebody finally saw through this guy's fucking line of bullshit. Finally. It took a fucking trained counselor to be like, something's not adding up here. It wasn't the police, it wasn't the courts, it wasn't, anything like that. It was a trained counselor that was actually able to see what was going on there. Shout out to mental health care professionals everywhere for doing the work. Eventually, she was granted supervised visitation with my sibling and I at home, although the only person supervising the visits was my sperm donor. During one of these visits, he told her he needed to run over to the grocery store and grab some things. The very second he was gone, my mom called the local emergency women's shelter, called a taxi, and took my sibling and I with her to the shelter. She was absolutely terrified that she was going to be rearrested and further punished for violating the visitation rules, but she knew it was her only chance of escaping. After she did this, some people finally started to open their eyes to who was actually the manipulator and abuser of the entire situation. Him. About fucking time. Honestly, W, Mom. Ultimately, my mom pled guilty to the battery charges in court because she felt like she had no other choice. If she tried to fight the charges, that would simply delay her being able to return home, permanently reunite with her children, and put this entire hellish situation behind her. So she pled guilty. Therefore, she still technically has it on her criminal record to this day. She could probably get it expunged, if I'm being honest. If you go through and you explain the situation, I think this could be expunged. I don't think that there's any reason this still needs to be on her record. Just so you know. But she didn't care about that. She just wanted her life to be somewhat normal and calm again. In March 2010, the divorce between them was finalized, and he was eventually convinced to willingly pack up his shit, move out of the house, and remove his name from the mortgage completely. Nice. Nice. Can't even get the house. You gotta get out of here. You love to hear it. You love to hear it. Did he get to keep his tapes? He was like, I don't need the house. I don't need the kids. Just let me take my boxes of VHS Gooner compilations. That's all I need, and I'll be on my way. I bet he took those. I bet he made sure to take those with him. While the next few years were very financially challenging due to being a single stay-at-home parent, she couldn't even afford to take us for a walk to the nearby corner store and buy a $2 popsicle. She did manage to get back on her feet and just barely make ends meet. Starting a couple years after the divorce, I did make the occasional on and off attempt to maintain some kind of relationship with my sperm donor, but it was awful. Whenever I did spend any time with him, I once went to his apartment to visit and he let me borrow his ancient Windows XP laptop to play online games, but when I opened his internet browser, his frequently visited pages were nothing but porn sites. Ew. This is where porn addiction gets you. This is where porn addiction gets you. He was convinced to move out and get rid of his name from the mortgage on the condition they didn't have to pay child support. Honestly, probably worth it in the long run. Probably worth it in the long run, because I think the amount that he would have paid in to child support would have been far less than the equity that he would have been able to access by having his name on the mortgage. If his name was on the mortgage, he's entitled to half the value of the house. And I feel like he might not have had to pay that much money in child support, so I don't know. I would just say, just to cut ties completely and not have to worry about ever engaging with this person again, I would say that that was probably a fine deal. Also, this man is fucking broke and he's a loser, and it's like he's not going to be able to pay child support anyway. Even if he had agreed to pay child support, he wasn't going to pay it. You know that. You and I both know that. He wasn't going to pay child support. Fucking deadbeat. Good deal. On one occasion when I was 14, he picked me up one evening under the pretense that we would go out for ice cream. Grabbed some ice cream, and then he said he had to stop at the grocery store. I waited for him in his car, and when he came back, I said I wanted to go home. But all he said was, well, about that, we're not going to be going there. I immediately started screaming at him, confused out of my mind, and demanding to know where we were going and why, and he said we were going back to his apartment for a serious conversation. Uh-oh. Out of frustration, I tossed my ice cream at the front window of his car and he pulled over to clean up the mess. As he wiped up the melted ice cream with napkins, he threw the dirty napkins on my lap and in my face and repeatedly called me a fucking cunt. When we got to his apartment, I used his Wi-Fi and the very last amount of battery power on my iPod Touch to make a call to my mom. I told her what was going on and she was absolutely infuriated. He was eventually convinced by her to willingly bring me home that night, on the condition that the police would not be contacted, and that was the last time I've ever seen him in person. Whew! I just want to acknowledge your survival instincts. You've got great instincts, you're a brave person, and I think that your mom also showed that too. Your mom's also a brave person, so I feel like that's worthy of being recognized. Anyhow, this is the end of my dump. I just really wanted people to know and understand the depths of how this man traumatized me and my mom and permanently altered the way I react to the slightest kindness from men. Once again, I truly appreciate you taking the time to read this, especially with how heavy and long of a submission it was. Thank you. You are welcome. Let me just say, first off, god damn. Second off, holy shit. And third off, what the fuck? I'm just happy you were able to ditch that turd. That's what I'm happy about. The way I would try to look at this, you got your bad days out of the way early. And the best is yet to come. That's the way I like to look at it. Now do you see why I've fallen so madly obsessed with you? And why I call you Daddy? It makes sense. But I tell you this, I'm going to continue to show respectful, healthy, appropriate boundaries and treat you with dignity and respect, because that's what you deserve. I feel like this stream is a great place to practice healthy boundaries. How you feeling, Cricket? Yeah, you doing all right? I have some of your other posts in here. I just didn't know if you wanted to take a break from talking about those, or if you wanted to move forward into something else. Either if you want, I can take your next posts. But if you wanted to take a break as well, I respect your choice. Go ahead. All right. I just want to make sure you're doing all right. Because I know that talking about a lot of this stuff sometimes it can bring up old feelings. It can be stressful. So I just want to make sure you don't feel like I'm bringing up too much, and I don't want you to feel, too stressed out or anything. All right. This is incredibly cathartic for me. Good. I feel like you deserve that. Just wanted to quickly address something from yesterday's stream I felt it was important to apologize for. A apology, you say? I know I was really fucking horny near the end of last night's stream to the point where I was saying some really gross shit and damn near sexually harassing you. For that, I just want you to know I am truly, genuinely sorry. Sometimes I wonder if I even actually deserve to be a part of this community and you have to put up with my bullshit all the time. Who knows, TBH? You're fine. You're fine. It's alright. I have seen a lot in my years working in mental health, alright? So, it's okay. All you can do is learn and grow. In this submission, I want to talk about an experience I had with psychotropic medications. Basically, a bit of a PSA about why it's a good idea to not come off them cold turkey. Alright, some life lessons. When Cricket eventually writes a book, I'm gonna have a copy, because I feel like Cricket's a good writer, and Cricket has a story to tell. So whenever you come out with a book, let me know. So I've been taking a medication called aripiprazole, Abilify, every day for almost 14 years. It's an atypical antipsychotic that essentially helps me control the hyperactive and impulsive tendencies of my autism. Yep, that's normally what it's prescribed for. I've known other people who have autism that have been prescribed Abilify as well. But also a part of me wonders, it's like if you hadn't had all of that turmoil and trauma and stress and uncertainty and, negligence as a child, like, would you need the medication to regulate your mood? I feel like this is something that happens a lot, is like children are being brought up in these, like, unstable living conditions, and then they react emotionally because why wouldn't they? And then they are just treated with medications in order to address those issues. It's certainly been very helpful medication for me personally, and I've tried to wean off it in the past, but I could tell pretty quickly that there was a stark difference in my behavior and general feelings without it. I'll most likely have to be on it for the rest of my life, and I'm okay with that. Well, I'll leave it at that. I'll respect your thoughts on that. I was just gonna say, like, things change when you're an adult. Things change. So I try not to look at things so indefinitely. I'm. But anyway. Unfortunately, though, one of the most potential side effects of Abilify and some other antipsychotics is the development of dysarthria, a neurological impairment of the part of the brain that controls the muscles used for speech, which has proven to be the case for me. This is manifested for me as a really bad stuttering problem, especially when I'm trying to say words that begin with a certain letter or sound, to the point where it can be difficult for me to speak a full sentence. To counteract this side effect, I was put on an anticholinergic medication called benztropine. I was on this for almost a decade until my doctor discovered earlier this year that it was causing me to have a dangerously high resting heart rate. He was so concerned about my heart health that he advised me to stop taking the benztropine. He figured that because it was a very low dose, that it would be okay to just come off it cold turkey, but boy was he wrong. The withdrawal didn't kick in until a few days after ceasing the medication, but when it did, it literally hit me like a freight train. Experienced mood changes, worsened intrusive thoughts, extreme drowsiness and fatigue, blurred vision, lack of appetite, constant leg spasms, and something I can only describe as feeling as though I was living in the past version of my own mind and body. Sounds like a PTSD response almost. Like I knew how old I was and what date was, etc., but I had this weird perception of constant deja vu. The withdrawal lasted around 4 or 5 days. So yeah, my stuttering is quite bad again, but at least I have lowered risk of having a heart attack in my 20s. Moral of the story, never call off any psych medications cold turkey, even if your doctor advises it or says it's fine. It's not. This is true. I would recommend weaning off of any psychotropic medication. Because even when it comes down to stuff that's relatively small dose, in some of these medications, you really don't need that large of a dose to have a pretty profound effect. I just got off work and it's my weekend. W. W. I want to know, what are your thoughts on Ozempic? I've been on it myself for around 2 years and I owe my entire life to it. I'd mostly be like 250 without it. It does a lot of good for a lot of people. I don't think I would ever try it, and I don't know. I'm one of those people who, like, I'm always suspicious of new medications until they've been around for like a long time. You know what I mean? When something's been around for like decades and it's like we know pretty well what the long-term effects are of it, then I'm like, all right. But sometimes when stuff is relatively new, I get a little sussy. But I'm not gonna knock it. It does seem to be a very helpful medication. I'm on Wegovy, lost 20 pounds so far. And I remember you wrote into the question box about that, right? Because you were being encouraged to try it. But it sounds like it's been working out. At the time, I remember I was resistant. Because that's just me. I'm not anti-medications for other people. I'm very anti-medications for me. You know what I mean? Sorry for long post in advance. You know what I'm not sorry about? Murphy said so. My manager told me yesterday they're officially making me full-time. They did. You did. You told us. You did, but we'll give you another W. My biggest concern with it is people taking it who don't actually need it and then having adverse reactions. Yeah. Yeah, it's like... a lot of people just have a really hard time losing weight. Like, even with diet and exercise, they still just find themselves, like, really unable to lose weight. And if it helps them to lose weight, then I'm happy for them. But I feel like some people who could lose weight pretty easily if they just dieted and exercised and, you know, didn't eat garbage, then they would be able to lose weight too. But I feel like sometimes people are just like, ooh, a shortcut. You know what I mean? Oh, hello. Oh, he's really squeaking today, isn't he? Sorry for long posting in advance. Looking for advice on how to cope with a dysfunctional family. I'm 27 and my son and I live with my parents for a few months. Been here since January and moving out in a month or two now. My whole life they have favored my younger sister. Despite my athletic and academic achievements, I was never bragged on or even acknowledged. No pictures of me for my graduations in the house. I was even a 4-year college athlete, even though I had my son in the middle of my junior year of college. Even graduated with early academic excellence awards, but still no one showed up for or talked about my achievements. Damn. Can I just say, that's pretty fucking rude. My professional opinion? Pretty fucking rude. Fast forward to last year, got in a bit of a financial rut. My father admitted he could have helped me financially but didn't want to. Okay, dick. I got evicted and my car repossessed after a breakup. They wouldn't even help you to prevent you from getting evicted? Do you know how fucking shitty it is? I mean, you do because it happened to you, but it's like, it's so fucking shitty to get a new place if you have an eviction on your record. And he was just willing to let that happen when he could have helped you. Shitty. Then your car got repoed. Fucking shitty. This is just a case that really shows how sometimes different kids in a family are just treated so differently. And I feel like, maybe sometimes a parent will, they'll have that first child and then they have a lot of, resentment about being a parent, or they have these, hard feelings about, my life, my dreams, everything was changed when I had this child, and then they blame you for that for some reason. But then they have another kid and they soften up a little bit and they're like, maybe I was a little too hard on that first one. Not that I'm going to do anything differently with the first one, I'm just going to be nicer to the second one. Unfortunately, this shit does happen. Sometimes parents will just hold resentment towards their children because they feel like their children ruined their lives. Like, I used to have a nice body, I used to have money, I used to have free time, I used to have friends, and then this child came along and ruined it all for me? I asked him if he could please help me keep my car for a month and I could pick back up with my new job the following month. He lied and said he couldn't afford it. I believed him until he admitted to me the other day, I have plenty of money, I just didn't want to fix a problem that wasn't my responsibility. So, your children aren't your responsibility? Got it. My mom still blames me for her body going to shit after her pregnancy with me. Like, damn, Linda, I didn't force feed you. I wasn't out there buying those little Debbies, Debbie. That's on you. After I moved on from this financial low point, my father bought my 19-year-old sister a brand new car, got my mom a brand new car. These are not just $30,000 vehicles either, mind you, and bought himself a second vehicle to help with gas payments on his big truck. On top of that, he's begging my grandma to let him buy her old '66 Mustang This is all fine and dandy, except I got swindled out of $500 by my father to get his second car. He told me the car was for me, but then took my car privileges away. I'm 27, by the way. And told me it was his car and that the money I paid him will go towards house bills. This is bordering on abuse at this point. At first I was just like, this sounds just like really shitty parenting, but I wasn't gonna say that it sounds abusive, but at that point I'm starting to be like, this is starting to just reek. The older I get, the more resentment I have, and the more I notice how mean they are to me specifically. I've tried not caring, but it feels impossible. I cry daily, basically, and it's been like this for years. They just see me as someone to do things for them. I don't get invited places. They bring home food for everyone but me, and sometimes they only feed themselves and leave me and my son to figure it out. I cook and clean the house daily, prep their coffee pots, take the trash to the garbage, and clean it up. I am a live-in maid, essentially, and I do not mean this lightly at all. I am mopping, scrubbing baseboards, making whatever they request to eat, all while working full-time from home and taking care of my 6-year-old and my dog and my parents' dog. Alright, well, if he's going to revoke your car privileges, it's time for you to revoke his maid privileges. Because you're an adult and he's an adult, so if he's gonna revoke car privileges from you because you're an adult, then you can revoke maid privileges from him. You're gonna have to make your own coffee, you're gonna have to make your own dinner, you're gonna have to take out your own trash. I am an emotional punching bag for everyone in the house. They said I am not allowed to drive because of the fact that I have a medical marijuana card for my PTSD, ADHD, anxiety, and depression. Why are they going to blame you for that? They are the reason for your PTSD, ADHD, anxiety, and depression. Like, where do you think it came from? Who do you think did that to you? The call is coming from inside the house. They also said it's not allowed anywhere near the house. These people fucking suck. I'm not sorry that I said that. I mean it, absolutely. I know that therapists are supposed to be like, well, let's try to see where they come from. Let's try to understand why they did what they did or why they said what they said. Like, no, I'm not going to beat around the bush. These people suck ass and this sounds like abuse. Just looking for advice to move on from this. Break free. You don't need them. They need you more than you need them. Because it sounds like you are being targeted by narcissistic abuse. And when you remove yourself from the situation, they'll have to move on to another target. And so they'll have to, they'll have to cope with that. But as long as you continue to engage with them in any way, you're going to continue to be targeted in this way. Just looking for advice to move on from this. I feel like once you're out of this situation and you're able to actually see it for what it is, things will make so much more sense. Because here's the thing right now, you're in the situation, and so it's like this. It's like, what is this? Can you tell what this is? Can you tell what this is that I'm holding up in front of the camera? It's not my hand, by the way, it's an object. Can you tell what this is? You probably can't tell what this is. But that's because you're too close to it. You're still caught up in it. You need to take a step back from it so you can actually see what it is that's going on. It's an apple, by the way. As soon as you've had some time to just be outside of this situation, to fucking breathe, you will realize just how good it feels to be free. They need you more than you need them. It's important to mention I was somewhat physically abused from time to time up until I was 20 by my mom and dad, but only me. My sister was never harmed or spanked even. It's starting to sound like, and I'm just speculating here, I'm not diagnosing anybody, but it sounds like you were the target of narcissistic abuse, in which these types of situations, one child tends to get the worst of it, and the others tend to be spared from it. And so, get out for the sake of your wellness, because it's not going to get better, it's just going to get worse. We did a show the other day about narcissistic parents. You might have been there. You might have seen it. But yeah, maid privileges revoked. Maid privileges revoked. Also, maybe start calling them out for their shitty behavior. Hey, I noticed you got food for everybody, but you didn't get food for me or my son. Where's our food? Just start being annoying about it. Like, if they're just gonna be shitty and they're just gonna try to emotionally beat you up, at least be really fucking annoying. You know what I mean? Just, at least be a fraction of the monster that they make you out to be. At least just a little bit of that person. You know what I mean? Like, if they're gonna build you up to be this terrible, awful, bad person, at least be a little bit of that person. Because you know you're not a bad person. But they're making you feel like you are, and they're trying to convince you that they are, or that you are. They react unpredictably. I get scared of them getting physical, which sounds bad. That sounds really bad. You're a grown adult. Film it. Have your finger hovering over the record button. Other than that, I would just say, just keep your head down, just lay low, and just get out. And when you get out and you do have freedom, they're going to be crying and begging you to come back. It's what they do. It's like they want that person that they can just continue to beat up. They made hand-carved paddles to hit me with in high school. However, they now deny this ever happened and tell me I need professional help for making things up. Okay, Darvo. Okay, yeah, this is... I said earlier that I was like... This is sounding more and more like narcissistic abuse. This is more and more sounding to be like narcissistic abuse. I won't come back here. I just want to not care anymore or get over it. Break free, and then enjoy that freedom. That breath of fresh, free air will feel so good. Don't worry about letting go or getting over it all right now. That will come in time. Just worry about getting out at the moment. You know, it's like being caught in a natural disaster. and you're trying to escape for your life, but you can't be wondering about, like, well, how am I going to rebuild? How am I going to fix the damage that was done? It's like, worry about that once you have gotten to safety. Things will be able to be much more easily navigated once you are in a better place. They literally made hand-carved paddles and then gaslit you into thinking that you were making things up. That's so fucked up. That's so fucked up. Can I just say that's so fucked up? One more time. It's so fucked up. I just wanted to reiterate. My sister backed me up and said it happened, but acted like she couldn't remember details because she didn't want to deal with my mom's reactions. Absolutely, they're probably aware of your parents' shitty behaviors, but because they benefit from them and they get gifts and they get attention and they get all those things, they don't want to call them out on it. This is very commonly occurring in narcissistic families, as they will target one child with all of the abuse and then the other children will get off easy. I want to reiterate what Junkie just said. That's normal and you aren't alone. The reason why you feel crazy or you feel like you're starting to believe them is because you're still surrounded by the gas. You know, they're gaslighting you and you're still breathing it in. You need that clean air. I get confused, man. That's because they want you to be confused. But I think that deep down you know what's best for you and you know what's best for your kid. And you know that this isn't right and you know that you deserve to be treated better. And I think you're not confused about that. What you're confused about is, did I or did I not play a part in this? You did not. No one deserves to be treated this way. But you're being made to feel like you do deserve to be treated that way. And you and I both know that's not right. I can't help but feel utterly alone, and I know I need to mentally and emotionally move on from this and grow. My fiance and son are keeping me sane, but I can tell it's breaking them seeing me emotionally like this almost every day. Any tips are greatly appreciated. I'm really sick of crying over things I can't control and getting annoyed. Sorry for the long post. Hi, sorry, I just got back from writing another submission. Okay, I shouldn't have... I was... Too soon. Too soon, I put the bonk stick down. No apologizing allowed. I've been contemplating asking you all for help for a while now. On a positive note, I have managed to foster magnificent relationships and communication between me and my son and my fiance, which reflects the opposite of what I grew with, so that's a W. Double U. Honestly, you know what I think? You know what I think you should do? You know what I think you should do? If you know you're going to be able to get out soon, just act like you're living your best life. Just act like they don't bother you. Just act like you don't even think about them. Just act like they have no, just be ambivalent. Just, because that's just going to frustrate them. That's just going to make them confused. So keep yourself safe. Don't take them seriously because they aren't deserving of being taken seriously. Spend as much time as you can outside of that house until you're able to finally get out for good. Thank me, no thank you! Had to get this out. I had a Julius Caesar moment in high school. I wasn't popular, but everyone at least knew my name and had some sort of experience with me. For about a month, I was flying pretty close to the sun. Don't know what happened or what I did, but people I commonly associated with practically assassinated me and one of my closest friends at the time. Given an et tu brute moment and stabbed me in the back. I was soon charged with a felony and sent to trial. Charges got dropped, graduated early, and all those people are either in jail or got kids right out of high school. Well, high school's fucked up. High school's fucked up. I don't know what else to tell you. Like, have you met teenagers? Teenagers are fucking insane. Teenagers are psychotic. High school is a fucking jungle. Teenagers will literally be like, hey, you want to ruin that guy's life forever? And then they'll do it because they think it's funny. Do you play RuneScape? I don't play RuneScape. I played World of Warcraft, but I haven't played World of Warcraft in a long time. But no, I never played RuneScape. I give the aura of RuneScape player. I could see it. I know this isn't anything serious and is probably just an overactive brain, but I saw shadow people as a kid. I'd always see black figures running behind corners. Could there be any other causes? Outside of optical illusions? It could have been a trick of the light. It could have been optical illusions. It could have been ghosts. Maybe you did see ghosts. Our brains are designed to see certain types of shapes and forms, and sometimes our brains just make things up. Sometimes our brains just make things up. You know, we see things in the corner of our eyes, or we, it's kind of trippy to think about. Any other causes? I don't know. I wouldn't say that it's anything like it's like you said. I don't think it's anything serious. I would say it was probably just some of the, and this kind of really showcases just how our brains can just misinterpret things or see things or hear things, when there aren't really anything there. So imagine for a second what it might be like to have visual hallucinations. A lot of people with psychosis who experience visual hallucinations will often report things like seeing shadows or seeing, like in the corner of their eyes, not so much like front field of view. It's more of like a, you know. I'm not trying to say you had schizophrenia, but what I'm saying is that um, that overactive imagination of like a childlike brain, where it's like there are some similarities there between that type of thinking and then the type of thinking of somebody who actually has psychosis. Like, think about it. Like, kids will have imaginary friends. They'll be like, oh yeah, I'm talking to this person, and they're real. You know what I mean? I'm not trying to say that kids are like miniature schizophrenics or anything, but I mean, kinda. Kinda. Hi, I wanted to update you on the person I mentioned who is considering scamming. I had a productive conversation with them and they feel much better now that they have some outside support with financial matters. They're also committed to making choices that better align with their values. Thanks again for your advice and being direct. It really helped. I'm glad that it helped. I'm glad that it helped. Nice. Also, I'm glad that their situation was able to turn around. That's good. We did it. We did it. One solitary air horn. Have you tried microdosing psychedelics? And if so, would you recommend it? I've macrodosed psychedelics. I've macrodosed. Love microdosing. I love meditating. I find that meditation does the same thing for me that I would assume microdosing would do to somebody who doesn't meditate regularly. The thing about me is I've done enough psychedelics where I can just think that way now. It's altered my thinking. Not in a bad way, just I think differently. But I think it's a good thing. Have you tried microdosing psychedelics, and if so, would you recommend it? I technically can't recommend it because it's technically illegal. So I can't technically recommend anything. But hypothetically speaking, hold on, let me finish the question first and then I'll weigh in. I've been wanting to try psychedelics, but I've been waiting until I'm more mentally sound, not depressed, to avoid having a bad trip, so I'd rather try small doses first. I heard microdosing can be quite beneficial, which is also what has spiked my interest. I have also heard that microdosing can be quite beneficial. That is also something that I have heard. I'm trying to pick my words very carefully here. So, the thing about psychedelics is that there's a lot of research that shows that they can be very helpful with things such as depression. And so, if you approach it in a serious way, if you approach it in a meaningful and serious way, you can minimize that risk of having a bad trip. And also, I don't like to look at things as good or bad when it comes to having a trip. There are good trips and there are challenging trips. Because what makes a challenging trip challenging is that it takes your mind to places that you just might not be ready to go. And it's uncomfortable and it's jarring and it's frightening. But I feel like those trips that I've had, because I've had trips that I would historically quantify as challenging trips. I feel like those are the ones where I came away from them learning more than any of my other trips. Two things to consider: your mindset going in and the setting in which you do it. If you are in a supportive, comfortable, familiar setting and you are in a good state of mind, you can effectively minimize the risk of having a difficult trip. But if you're taking psychedelics and you're going to a concert or you're going out and, that's oftentimes a recipe for disaster. So I would just say, hypothetically, Hmm. Mm-mm-mm. I believe that psychedelics can do a lot to help people overcome their depression. How about I say it that way? Because I can't condone, I can't, recommend, because it's still technically illegal. But I can say that psychedelics were a factor in helping my depression. I can also share my anecdotal evidence, but I cannot encourage or condone anyone doing anything that wouldn't be legal. Even though it's a mushroom that's existed for thousands and thousands of years. I'm just gonna say this. Completely unrelated to the context of anything that we were just talking about, I'm just gonna say this. Hi, Josh in chat. I am gay. Why, hello, gay. We're Josh in chat. Another day, another gay. Hello, Joshua Tron the Second. It's Withering, aka Asleep and Dives. It's Wither Bitch. I wasn't present much during last stream, so I don't know if I can really speak about good news, but I'll dedicate a paragraph to them. And a second. Oh no, last stream, yes. Was that you who was asking if you could share good things? Because yes, that was my answer. We like to hear good updates in the box as well. We love a W. If you're in a hurry, you can instantly skip to the second, since I'll phrase it in a way that doesn't require you to read the second. Thank you dearly, and also daily love for cricket from the leader of her fan club. Cricket, you've got fans now. Back in my day, we just called it friends, though. That was me, but I was overwhelmed. It happens. We're glad you're back. If Previously spoken about how I had a friend of mine that was really sweet, and she was the only thing that made sense to me in existence. For the few months we've known each other, we've gotten so incredibly close, more than we have with anyone else, nor whoever we saw with their closest person. We've known almost everything about each other. We've shared our insecurities, our fears, our likes, our vulnerabilities. We've made playlists, played together, laughed, and cried with one another. She's basically all I yearned for beyond what I had prayed for. I didn't say all this, but I meant it when I said she was my purpose and my reason for being. And I also said when she decided to drop out, her father locked her in her home and threatened her and took away her laptop. Before I needed to call the police, her situation improved and she was forced to go back into school. Then we got closer, and now, out of the blue, I realized I love her. It wasn't just platonic, but romantic as well. When we spoke about our future plans and such, my heart started beating really loud and fast when I thought about, it being a romantic scenario, which is kind of dumb with the little context I gave. But I learned she feels the same about me. So now we are dating. W. And I'm honestly happier than I could ever be. Yesterday, my heart was in such a blissful state that nothing ever seemed to matter to me, and my entire attention and love was focused on her, and she felt the same. Our love knew no bounds. When I told you we knew everything about each other, we both thought about the same problem together, her hypersexuality. My newly found girlfriend has a long-time problem with hypersexuality. I've already known that. She was groomed so early on that affected her since she was a child. She had begun sexting at 10, learned about sex and everything, She'd even sent pictures as soon as 14 or 15. I don't want to go into detail because my heart aches really bad. Anywho, this being her only source of validation, she occasionally has really bad urges where she would text her longtime groomer or random boys to seek validation from them. Specifically sexual validation. Now she's willing to change for me. So here's the thing. You want her to change because she wants to change, because she knows that change is good. We want it to feel, I deserve change. And I understand that people will motivate us to change, but we also want to change because we recognize that we deserve better. You know what I mean? She blocked everyone she ever had spoken to that way. She cut off pornography and is actively avoiding it, and she's trying to overcome her urges. Obviously, such a sudden stop will affect her, and both of us are looking for a solution for it. I can't try to sexually validate her because whenever she gets validated by someone, she bunches them up into a group she can never think of normally again, like her groomers and her exes, and yeah, normal loving validation isn't enough for her, and she fears seeing me the same way she sees others, and I completely understand it, mostly because I'm the one speaking to her more about this topic. Plus, even I don't feel ready to engage in sexual context because I'm still not used to it and I want to build up to it naturally, in a way we can both enjoy and love. We really need treatments to help her, and I'm willing to do anything I can. I wholeheartedly love her. Please note that therapy is not an option at the moment because of both your toxic families, and she already tried silly methods like fasting and good diet. Thank you. She also sends you her regards and is extremely thankful. Rah! I would just say this. Take it one day at a time. Keep heading in the right direction. You'll get there eventually. You can see where you're headed. You're headed in a good direction, right? You're making good, healthy changes. Just continue to head in that direction. Continue to be open to also finding more help and support along the way. For both of you. You know what I mean? As romantic as the notion of it's me and you versus the world can be, that is quite a romantic notion. It's me and you against the world. We don't want it to be. We want there to at least be some other people on our side who can help us along as well. But I would say good on you for being a supportive influence on her life, and I feel like you've motivated her to make some meaningful, positive changes. So, what are we supposed to do though? I'm trying to love her, validate her, and keep her loved and accepted. Keep doing that, first and foremost. But also, even though you said therapy's not on the option, there are still other resources that you can probably access, whether it be literature or, other types of support groups that could, fill that gap until maybe somewhere down the line therapy becomes an option. Also, I think just listening and validating goes a long way. Sometimes just listening and validating goes a long way. Sometimes we have this impulse to be like, I want to tell you what to do. I want to tell you how you can help. I want to solve your problem. I want to fix it. Sometimes all you can do is just listen, be supportive, be validating. I think you're making good progress. And so just keep on that path. Just keep making good choices. I think you're heading the right direction. I always listen to her, but I don't know if she wants a support group today. But just continue to encourage those types of things, but don't feel like you're pressuring, you know what I mean? Because you and I both might realize that this could be helpful, this could be beneficial, but she just might not be there yet. She just might not be ready for it yet. But just keep working towards it. I just realized recently that the me and you against the world way of thinking is so dysfunctional, right? Kinda is. I think also maybe not even like a support group, but just a trusted adult. You know what I mean? Someone that could be like a mentor. I feel like that could go a long way as well. Cricket inspired me to post some of my poetry. Cricket, your influence. Cricket inspired me to post some of my poetry. It's not great, but if Cricket is brave enough to post her poems, I can do the same. She said with a haughty laugh, but you had an easy childhood. And I guess by comparison, that's true. But it doesn't stop the heart from aching, it doesn't erase the scars, but pulls at the barely attached skin and breaks, opening old wounds, reliving past traumas, only to receive not the bare minimum, but nothing at all. Suffering, alone, as I did in childhood, I re-experienced the depths of your apathy. I relive everything, knowing you will never understand me, knowing that you choose to not know me, and that abandonment hollows my heart, makes sturdier my resolve, but grieving the lack of your love leaves me with nothing but an ache that cannot be filled. It's deep, entrenches my soul, reminds me of my failings. When will I be good enough? Never, I suppose. This is your daily reminder that you are good enough, for the record. You. Yes, you. You are good enough. I don't know who convinced you otherwise. I don't know who got you to believe that you weren't. But I'm here to tell you that you are good enough. So don't give up on yourself. You are deserving of love just as everybody else is. So ready to end it. My cunt husband's cunt family is trying to fight me for my engagement ring. They already took our homes and everything we owned. I get texts on a weekly basis blaming me for him passing, saying it should have been me instead. So he could have moved on to be with a quote unquote normal woman. They hate me, my family hates me, I have nothing left. I never wanted him to be hurt in any way, but everyone keeps telling me I pushed him there. I don't know what to think anymore. The cunt fruit doesn't fall far from the cunt tree, I fear. This is disgusting. This is transphobic. This is just. And so entirely not your fault. I'm really sorry that you're having to deal with this. But that's your ring. That's your ring, by the way. That's your ring, by the way. They're not getting that back. Like, his family does sure seem really abusive. It almost makes you wonder where he learned it from. Sorry if this is disrespectful to ask, but I don't understand what part is transphobic. The person who wrote this question is trans. And so when they say what they say about being a woman, that is transphobic. Even though trans women are women, trans men are men. What did they mean when they said a normal woman? A woman that he could just beat with impunity, that wouldn't, like, talk about it, that wouldn't reach out for help? Somebody who would just let him do that? Like, no. It's not just the ring, they took everything. Has your attorney seen all these messages that they keep sending you? I would sure love to hear what your attorney has to say about seeing all of these hateful messages, because if I was an attorney, I would probably look at maybe, countersuing for emotional distress. I would look at a counterclaim. That's what I would be looking at if I was an attorney. 'Cause right now you're being harassed. Bull fucking shit that you pushed him to do anything, by the way. And I know I'm sounding kind of angry right now that's because I am upset for you. Because he was so abusive, but also not just abusive, he was also going to the length where he was like recording it and there was evidence of it, and just to he finally got caught. He got caught and there was no way out for him. His money couldn't buy him out. He couldn't, his lawyers couldn't pressure you. Like, he got caught dead to rights, and he cowardly took his own life because he couldn't face accountability for all of his actions. He got caught and he took his life because he couldn't handle the responsibility or the accountability of what he did. You didn't do anything wrong. What can we do to build back up that support system? That's what I want to see for you. I want to see you build back up a support system, because that's what you deserve. You deserve to be appreciated, you deserve to be loved, you deserve compassion and respect. Yeah, if you're new here, you might not know the history. Any other friends, any other family you might be able to reach out to, any type of support, whoever, I just want that for you so badly, you know? Do you have a brother? This sounds really stressful and very lonely, and I don't want you to feel so alone in this. So just, I just please try to find someone to reach out to and talk to, okay? I don't know what I did to them. You didn't do anything to them. You didn't do anything to them. And even if you did do something to them, you wouldn't be deserving to be treated this way. How would you feel or react if you found out a regular participant in your stream took their own life? I would feel gutted. I would feel gutted. That's how I would feel. I found out recently that someone who watched and actually recommended my stream to someone else took their life, and I can't help but feel like in some way I let them down, or like I didn't do enough. So that's how I feel. Makes me feel like shit. I'd feel really fucking bad. That's how I would feel. And it's happened. But it's not gonna stop me from doing what I do. It's always gonna hurt. It's like I'll say now what I said last time. I want that number to be zero. The number of people who take their life every year, I want that number to be zero. And I know that that's impossible. I know that that just is unfeasible. But it's not gonna stop me from trying to get that number as close as I can to zero. Like, my family has been personally affected by suicide, and suicide prevention is something that I'm very passionate about. So if I found out that someone here took their life, I would feel terrible. And it feels terrible every time. I asked because I wanted to know how you would react if I died that way. I'd be really fucking pissed. Because you've got so much talent and so much potential, and I just want you to see that. I want you to appreciate that. You've got a lot to give. And to just rob the world of that would be criminal. It's so fucking hard some days to not think those thoughts. I know, and I've been there, and I'm sorry that you're in that place right now. But let me just say one thing. If living in spite keeps you alive, I'm okay with that. If you trying your damnedest to live a good life in spite of all of the people who have tried to ruin that for you, I'm okay with that. If that keeps you going, if that is what allows you to push through those darkest days, I'm okay with that. I try and live a good life, but these leftists are getting out of control. In what ways? Can you elaborate? Like, don't come at me about politics right now because I'm in a state of rage and I don't want to. Okay, I'm just gonna I'm just gonna do you a favor and ban you because I took an oath to not use my skills that I've learned in becoming a psychologist and in becoming a therapist for evil. And I feel like if I did not ban you, I would just say hurtful things to you. And I don't want to do that. So just go away. Find a new hobby. Get help. Find friends. Like, if you're just so, like, I don't know. I really want to be mean to this person because I want to use it as an outlet for my frustrations, but I'm trying not to do that, so I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to walk down that path, even though I really want to. I really want to just be so fucking mean. But I won't. I'm trying to be the bigger person here. Maybe I'll just be a little mean. Nah, they probably left already. They probably said, lol, triggered. They were probably just trying to get banned, and I'll just give that to them. They can just go troll somebody else's chat. I miss when rage bait was fun. Right? Yeah, it used to be fun, but now it's just like you're just going through Twitch streams, like trying to trigger people and trying to upset them. It's like, how sad and miserable and lonely are you? You know what I mean? Like, like I have a good idea for what I want to do with my time. I want to go into a mental health community and troll people. It's like, get help, brother. Like, what are you doing with your life? Like, go clean your fucking room. They've inbred rage bait so hard, it's a worse version of a bad joke every time. I know, right? Just the fact that there are people who will literally walk around and say things with a straight face like the woke mind virus. They believe that, like, being accepting and compassionate and loving is a bad thing for some reason. It's like, are you fucking stupid? Is your brain broken? If your worldview isn't based in compassion and empathy, I have no time for you. I have no time for you. I can't teach you that. You know? Like, maybe somebody else can help you. Maybe somebody else can teach you. Not me. I don't have the time nor the patience. You're crying in a happy way. Yeah, I'm glad to hear it. Happy tears are kind of fun. Kind of nice, aren't they? Hi. I submitted a question yesterday about my social anxiety. Today was a better day and I bonded with someone that is quiet like me. I'm less nervous for my dinner tomorrow. Thank you. Yes. A W. Let's redirect. Let's cleanse the energy with a W. I'm glad that I just banned that guy and decided not to be mean to him because I just would have ended up regretting it, honestly. It's like, in the end, I just feel sad for these people. They're lonely, pathetic, miserable losers who have nothing better to do. They have no friends, they've got no one to talk to, no one checking in on them, nobody that loves them, and I feel sorry for them. I really do. That they just go and they just find spaces on the internet to just go be hateful. It's like, pick up a different hobby for all our sake, please. It's Cricket Bitch, and welcome back to another episode of Trauma Dumping on a Twitch Therapist. Today's trauma to dump about the ways Catholic high schools deal with mental illness. Oh, this should be... I'm sat for this one. I feel sorry for them because they could have had that here if they wanted that for themselves. Right? This is a great place to make friends. I really pride myself on that, and I'm so proud of you all for that because we have created such a wonderful community. I feel like this is a great place to make friends. But some people are just like, I don't need friends. I'd rather bully him. There she is. There's the fighter we wanted to see. This is my healing process. See, this is why I don't give up on you, because you're a fucking fighter, alright? And I know you're gonna make it. It's, as painful as things are right now, I know you're gonna make it, because you're a fucking fighter, and I believe on you. I would put money on you. First of all, my high school structure was quite different than most people's because I was in a special education program. They called it the Life Skills Center. My home base was the special education classroom, but I would go to one other classroom each day to do lessons on a specific subject, like the science discussion or the art classroom. I was not able to function in school without constant accompanying by an educational assistant. For most of high school, I could only attend half days, 11 to 2 p. 11 to 2:30 instead of starting at 8:30, and I ended up having to take an extra year of high school because of it. My first 2 years of high school were probably one of the worst periods of time for my mental state. I was self-harming at school multiple times per day, to the point where the classroom staff started having to hide a variety of objects, supervise me in certain areas of the classroom, and even physically restrain me on the floor on some occasions. When they started hiding objects from me, I started sneaking sharp or poisonous objects into my school bag. I got suspended from school for 2 days one time for sneaking a craft blade into my bag and using it to cut myself in class because it was a safety threat to other students and staff. The head teacher of the special education room would also passively aggressively accuse me of faking mental health episodes and mood swings in order to avoid working on subjects I didn't like. No, you're absolutely right. The school system is really, really, really bad at handling mental health. It's so bad at handling mental health. And something that you mentioned, that it's like one of the things that they will do in the school system is they will just lump together all sorts of kids with all sorts of different needs at different levels of development, at different levels of and then we'll just push them all into one classroom and say, this is the special needs group. And it's like, do you see how that just isn't really helpful? They're just cramming everybody together, even though there's some people who, might be neurodivergent, there might be some people who are developmentally delayed, there might be some people who are just emotionally disturbed, and they just put them all together. And they're like, this is special ed. And it's like, how does that help? It kind of doesn't. Kind of doesn't. I remember they printed a mood tracking chart and put it on the side of my locker and told me to review it at the end of each period and draw a face on it that reflected the mood I was in. I realized pretty quickly that they were basically trying to collect evidence of a pattern of only being in a negative mood during subjects I didn't like. Why should you be in a good mood when you're doing a subject you don't like? I was pissed every time I had to do math, but they didn't make me do a fucking face chart. A lot of your classmates were more challenged than I was, and I that's what I'm talking about, is like they would put like just like somebody with like an autism diagnosis, somebody who's otherwise like intellectually capable, they're high functioning, but they put them in special ed and then they don't really learn the things that they need to learn, or they don't really, or they're treated like a child. I have a lot to say about the way that special education operates. Now, I have nothing but respect for the people who work in special ed because it's a thankless, stressful job. But the fact that they just mix together students of various need levels just creates more problems. And it doesn't really help anybody. There was one time I drew a neutral face instead of a smile or frown, and they asked me what it meant. I explained that it just meant I was neither happy nor sad, and they said, "What? That's not really an option." Perhaps worst of all, my vice principal became my FP in 10th grade after he was kind to me and showed me the slightest amount of positive attention. You can probably imagine how I behaved as a result of this. Think of the way I fangirl about you, except 100 times more intense and also more sexualized. Thanks again, Josh, for tuning into this episode of my trauma dumping. As I said, you're going to write a great book one day. You're going to write a great book one day. And it's probably going to help a lot of people. Just saying. I have a feeling. I have a lot of chronic pain, mostly in my back and neck from car accidents. I've been avoiding having surgery for a long time because I'm scared about not knowing what the future of my mobility will look like. At this point, my nerves are so impacted that I am gradually losing more and more feeling in my legs. My doctor says I'll need surgery sooner rather than later, but he can't tell me definitively what would improve and how long it would remain functional. Yeah, that's a lot of my understanding as far as surgery for these types of things as well. It's like, well, it could help. Or we're not sure how much it's going to help or what the complications are going to be. Surgery is always, something taken very seriously. I think I'm struggling a lot with not being able to do the active things I enjoy when I'm still young. I feel like I got cheated out of my mobility because other people were being irresponsible. I'm so resentful and frustrated. Do you have any advice? Don't give up. It's your life. And these are challenges that you might be able to overcome, alright? I want to see you do well. I want to see you keep trying. Have we been doing physiotherapy? Have we been doing, everything we can outside of invasive surgery? Because there are new techniques and new therapies that they can do that don't involve invasive surgery for these types of things. So I would just hope that all of those options have been explored. And I would like for you to feel empowered in pursuing those options so that you can improve your quality of life. Chronic pain fucking sucks. And I hope that you're able to find that relief. A trauma dumping book? It wouldn't just be a trauma dumping book. That's just what you think it would be right now, but you aren't at the stage in your life where you're going to write the book. So when you find out what the book is going to be about, that's when you'll write the book. Even if it's just an autobiography. Honestly, if I'm being honestly, there are a lot of bestseller books that are literally just trauma dumping books. That is a thing. I'm not gonna. That is a thing. There are a lot of books out there that were very popular, and it's basically just trauma dumping books. So that people can read that and be like, wow, this person is so strong. Look at what they made it through. They survived all this stuff, and then they went on to write a book. And then they feel inspired by you. It's happened. How to cope if Trump wins the elections and not let it cause a relapse of severe mental health shit like anxiety, panic, always being afraid, etc. I would hope that if Trump wins the election, that really fires people up and we can actually get a decent, proper revolution in this country. That's what I'm hoping for. I've been waiting for the revolution since I was a baby. I've just been waiting for the uprising. I would also just say to focus on you, focus on your life, and focus on the things that you do have control over. We don't have that much control over who gets elected. We don't have that much control over anything outside of us. All that we do have control over is that which we are, that which we experience, that which we feel. I would also say that maybe by connecting with other people who also feel passionately in the same way that you do, collectivizing, that could help to redirect some of those feelings of hopelessness. Realizing that you're not alone in these feelings. Maybe consider looking into local groups. Maybe you could join your local DSA chapter. It's DSA chapter, Democratic Socialists of America. Oh my fucking god, literally everyone in my house is screaming at each other right now, and yet no one is being heard. You know what my favorite thing to do is when people are yelling? I say, why are we yelling? But I do it really quiet. Based on the stuff that you mentioned earlier, it says like your whole family has been dealt a share of trauma, and I hope that they're all able to find healing in that. And I hope that, you're able to find healing together, and that you're able to work on those patterns of communication. Is local policy strong in the US, like relative to the federal government? It's supposed to be, but it really isn't, because, say that a state wants to do something, or like a city or a municipality or whatever, they want to do something, but it goes directly against the federal government. The federal government will just strip their funding for their roads, their, there's a lot that every state relies on the federal government for, and if you step out of line and you go against the federal government, they just cut all that funding, and so now you're out billions of dollars. So it's like, oh, you want to do this? Well then, good luck paving all of your highways. Good luck maintaining the interstates. You know, good luck if there's a natural disaster. You know, you're on your own. And so while, you know, states do like to act like they do have a certain amount of autonomy, they really don't, because at any point in time the federal government could just be like, we're cutting your funding. My brother just got home and he tried to walk in on my sibling without knocking. They tried to close the door on him because they were half naked at that particular moment, but then my brother fucking exploded and started screaming at them. You know, maybe in the future you could just like drop hints to these people, just be like, you know, I actually, you know, I read an article and it said that when you raise your voice, people actually hear you less. And that's actually true. That when people start raising their voice and they start yelling, the other person stops listening. Yelling is one of the least effective forms of communication. It's more of an emotional expression than it is anything else. So I think that the people in your family probably have some emotions that they're trying to express, and it's manifesting in the form of yelling. Just try not to let that disturb your peace, okay? Because your peace is hard fought and hard earned, alright? He's just really on one. He's just really out of control right now. I wonder what's going on. I wonder what happened to him. It sounds really stressful. I hope things are alright. Joshua Gaming streams on his or Casey Tron's stream when? When I hit 300 subs. My 300 sub goal, we'll do a gaming stream. Also, Casey and I are going to do more like gaming streams and couch co-ops on the Green Groves channel. I've just been so on that grind. You know, I've been on that BrainDomain grind. I've just been really trying to like build up this community, and like I've just been putting everything into the mental health at the moment. I've been streaming so much. I know. I kind of wonder what it's doing to my brain. There's so much screaming that I can't even hear the stream. How's the weather outside? Could you take a step could you take a step outside? Could you go get some fresh air? Not the non-cup. My cup is empty. I had Earl Grey tea, but it's empty. And I drank the whole thing. I'm trapped in my bedroom, literally or figuratively. Are you on the first floor? Can you open a window? Just try to get some fresh air. My mom told me to stay in my room because she's calling the police. Sounds stressful. That sounds stressful. Don't let this detract from your W, though, okay? I feel like you've been having so many W's lately. Don't let this detract from that, alright? Hello, I'm having a really bad mood swing out of nowhere and I just need to talk. We're here to talk. We are here. We're here to talk. That's what we're here for. Chat, by the way. Oh, we're gonna submit another trauma dump episode tomorrow about my brother. If it helps you heal, I'm all in. If it helps you heal, I'm all in. I want you to achieve levels of healing and emotional wellness that you don't even think are possible. That's what I want for all of you. Because I've seen it happen before, and I'll see it happen again. One of my first therapy clients ever was a reclusive person who'd never left their house. They said they hadn't left their house in over 20 years. But guess who got him to leave their house? Tips to deal with seasonal depression and how it affects how you frame things, see stuff, and just overall dark tint it just places over everything. One of the things that I've found to be helpful is to prepare for it. Prepare for it like you would prepare for the winter. You know, I recognize that the winter months, you know, those seasonally depressed months, those are months where I can just cozy up, get a nice blanket, hot chocolate, eat lots of soup, watch TV, watch movies. I don't really watch too much TV or movies like during the rest of the year, but like in those winter months, it's like that's when I will catch up on the shows. You know, but I find that's what helps me deal with it, is to just prepare for it, because I try to view it in the same way that like a bear views hibernation. I get ready for it, I prepare for it, and then I go into like low activity mode, and then when it gets warm again, I'm free. I can go out and I can start eating berries again. I think that just being mindful of it is also really helpful. Just understanding that, you know, I might be a little lower than I normally am. You know, there might be a depression. Just keep reminding yourself that you will know warmth again. So spend time with your loved ones, spend time with your friends. Just do your best to ride it out. That's what I like to do. Also, vitamin D. One of the things I find to be helpful in those cold winter months is giving myself extra vitamin D. So sometimes I will go to the tanning bed and I'll just irradiate myself, and I feel like it helps to warm me up from from the inside. I feel warmed up through and through. It feels like a recharge. A lot of people who live in countries where like there are extended periods of darkness, they will actually get like lamps that are specifically designed to help with this sort of thing. Here, I'll show you. like special lights. So it's literally a thing. And it's like, it's not even something that's like, is this something wrong with me? I'm like, no, this is something that's biological. You're almost meant to enter a phase of like lower activity, because it's the winter. You're supposed to just kind of like hunker down and ride it out. And that's kind of, it can be depressing. It can be, you're used to being out and active and sociable, but you just can't do that as much. And it's depressing. So I like to look at it as my hibernation season. You're scared. You're feeling scared right now. I'm sorry to hear that you're feeling scared. Hey, just breathe. You're gonna be alright. Can't even lock your door. Can you barricade the door? Brother's out of control. What's he going? Is he yelling about something? Like, what's he on about? Like, what's going on? There's nothing to barricade with. How high do you have a window? Like, it just didn't. Like, I'm not saying jump out your window or anything, but I'm like, if you had to, just to like get out of there, like just in case of emergency. Yeah, in order to barricade a door, you don't necessarily need something heavy, you just need something that can form a wedge. Okay, this isn't very helpful. Pull up an image. Like you put a wedge under the door, but you put it on the back side of the door. Like a door stopper. So it'll prevent the door from opening. He's screaming at my parents because he feels personally offended by the fact that he wasn't allowed to just randomly walk into my sibling's room. Is he high? I'm like, what? I'm like, oh, what? I'm like, is he on something? Or is he just in an emotional disturbance? Because it sounds like he's just not coming from a place of rationality. It just sounds like he's just really agitated. Just please keep yourself safe, alright? Just keep us posted. How to cope with feeling scared or in danger. It's so hard to function and do normal things when you feel that way, and it feels like I have to gaslight myself into being like, don't trust what my body is saying or doing because it's my anxiety doing over detection on threats. But then how do I learn to find safety in my body? Oh, I know just the thing. I know just the thing. What you're wanting to do is practice techniques that can activate your parasympathetic nervous system. The part of your nervous system that generates those feelings of anxiety is your sympathetic nervous system. That is your fight or flight nervous system. And it's a part of your peripheral nervous system. It's a part of your autonomic nervous system. It's part of your nervous system you don't normally control. But you can activate your rest and digest, your parasympathetic nervous system. And the key to do that is through your breathing. I wouldn't look at it as gaslighting yourself, because that's not really being fair. It's not really gaslighting yourself if you're trying to view things more rationally and fairly and, coming from a place that isn't driven by anxiety. Because if you're going to apply that logic, then who's to say that you aren't gaslighting yourself into being anxious? And so if it's gaslighting one way, it's gaslighting the other way. And one way sounds easier to cope with and easier to deal with than the other. I'm about to call the police myself because my mom just keeps continuing the arguing with him. I'm genuinely paralyzed with fear. If you feel like that's what you have to do to protect yourself and to protect your family, then do it. No one likes to have to call the police. No one wants the police to show up. Sometimes it's like you're left with no other option. Okay, as far as de-escalation goes, I wouldn't put this on any untrained professional to try to de-escalate a situation like that. To de-escalate a situation like that, you need somebody who's actually specifically trained in de-escalation, like me. But I'm not there. But there are trained specialists that can de-escalate situations. If you do call the police, I would specify and I would request someone who is trained in de-escalation. I would request that they send someone who is a crisis specialist, not just some random beat cop. Police, at least in some, like, they have them in my part of the country, and they have them, as far as I know, lots of places, but they have specially trained police officers that are trained to deal with crisis and to de-escalate rather than to escalate, because very often when the police show up, that's an escalation. Questioner, I really feel for you, and I feel like there is really something that we can do to work on this, and I want to help you. So, you said it's so hard to function and do normal things when you feel that way, and it feels like I have to gaslight myself into being like, don't trust what my body is saying or doing because it's my anxiety doing over detection on threats. But that is true, though. That is what it's doing, so it's not gaslighting yourself to remind yourself of that. But what I would recommend is calm, relaxed breathing. What that does is it activates your rest and digest nervous system. It'll redirect the activity from your sympathetic into your parasympathetic nervous system. And I know I keep saying nervous system, but the key is through your breathing. All of the different parts of your nervous system meet up in your lungs. And your lungs and your breathing are really a way to like activate different parts of your nervous system. If you breathe in a relaxed way, it makes you more relaxed. It lowers your heart rate. If you breathe rapidly and in a like agitated way, it'll actually start to make you feel more anxious. So like if you hyperventilate, it'll actually make your anxiety go up. So just try your best to just do deep, relaxing breaths. Remind yourself you're gonna be all right. You're gonna be okay. And you're not gaslighting yourself. You're telling yourself the truth. When all else fails, just breathe. Essay alert. At least you didn't apologize. At least this wasn't an apology. I just found out that my therapist is leaving and moving on to another practice. When I first heard it, my heart sank. I didn't really think that I was that attached to her. I've been seeing her for a year now, and I didn't expect this leave to happen at all. I thought I would leave her first. I even flirted with the idea of seeing a different therapist as I felt I wasn't healing fast enough or getting it through my brain. I thought someone else might be able to do it. But then I also said that I need to give my current therapist more of a chance, along with myself actually applying what she has suggested. So now I'm thinking maybe this is the universe's way of saying it's time for change. You know, that's a good way to look at it. Sometimes when we start getting too sure of ourselves, the universe has a way of saying, actually, not quite. So I would look at it. I think that's a good way to look at it. And I like that you look at it that way. Alright, Cricket, be safe. And please, if you do call the police, ask them to send somebody who's specially trained in de-escalating a crisis. Tell them so you have somebody in a mental health crisis. I always encourage people to do that. If you are ever in a situation where you have to call the police because there is someone in a mental health crisis, tell that to the police. Ask if they can send someone who is specially trained to de-escalate. That is what you're looking for. You're not looking for just a bunch of random cops to show up with their guns drawn. It's not going to do anybody any good. They should hopefully have people specially trained to de-escalate. As far as I know, a lot more police departments are actually doing that. My therapist offered many options. I could keep seeing her, but she won't be accepting my insurance at the new practice. I could keep seeing a new therapist at the current practice, find a different therapist elsewhere, or she suggested that some people even stop therapy during this type of transition. Now I don't know what to think. She said to base it off whether my goals have been met or not. Thinking about it, I don't think I have met many goals at all. And the idea of explaining my story to a new therapist sounds so draining, as this whole past year has just been such a drain on me. I'm still processing it all. I don't quite feel abandoned, but yet I do. Can I say something? And I want to just ever so gently and ever so politely just pull out my Uno reverse card. I don't want you to give up and abandon yourself, your own goals, your own healing. You know what I mean? I am sad and just accepting that I won't have this specific therapeutic relationship anymore. It hurts. To be positive, though, I'm so thankful I had her during this last year. Any tips to help through this transition? Yes. All right. First off, if you start off with a new therapist, it's okay to not tell them every single thing that you told your last therapist. They don't need every single bit of detail regarding your life or your experiences or everything that you've dealt with in order to help you. It's okay to view a new therapist as a new opportunity. So maybe this person could be more goal oriented because you said we didn't really feel like we had very many goals, and that's fine. Your first therapist could have been your emotional processing therapist. And that's what a lot of therapists will do is they will just be there to help you process your emotions, share your story, validate yourself. And that's good. But maybe your next therapist could be a more goal-driven, action-oriented therapist. Just view it as a different stage. Just view it as a different stage. And this is something that normally happens in the therapeutic process. Not every therapist will cover every stage of the therapeutic process with their clients. Some therapists are much more suited to the, now how did that feel? Oh, tell me more about that. Tell me what it was like. Tell me about your mother. You know, they'll go through your life and they'll talk about all of those things and how it affected you and how it impacted you. Just to help you process all of those feelings and emotions. But this next stage could be with someone who, and you just communicate with them and like, I'm trying to figure out some goals. I'm trying to, take some meaningful steps. And they can help you figure out what those goals are. And they don't need to know every single detail about your life to do that. And so it doesn't have to be a lot of rehashing. It doesn't need to be a lot of repeating. If possible, you could even request your current therapist give a copy of their notes from your sessions to a new therapist. That could work too. You could have them send over all their documentation so that you don't have to keep them up. They could do it. But I would just say, just be optimistic, be hopeful, and just take some time to think about what your next step is. Because it's your mind, it's your health. Take it seriously. Figure out that next step. I responded to this one already, so I'm going to move on to this next one. It's Cricket Bitch, and I just wanted to confess to you about something real quick. I didn't actually hold my pee for 2.5 days, nor did I piss myself. I just wanted to come up with a covert way to tell you that I have a kink for overfull bladders because, as you know, I'm so fucking horny. And I feel like the juxtaposition between this and what's going on right now is unexpected. Although, guess what, chat? We have surpassed 3,500 questions in the question box. We surpassed 3,500. Whew, that's a lot of questions. They just went outside and now they're continuing to scream in the backyard. Well, at least they gave you some space. And hopefully they're not able, hopefully things are able to get resolved soon. And I would say, just maybe when all is said and done, just go give your mom a big hug. You shared that story about, the stuff that you and your mom went through. And in that, I saw that, she did a lot to try to protect you, and she, she's trying her best, and this is probably stressful for her too, just like it's stressful for you. So I would say maybe just try to come together and support each other afterwards. Ooh-wee. Another day in the domain. My mom has had a lot of her own childhood trauma. A lot that she's told you about. And then probably some that she hasn't told you about. But it does sound like you guys have talked about trauma a lot. And it does sound like you guys are there to like help support each other in the best way that you know how. How's your other sibling doing? Are they okay? Are they still... Is your other sibling still in the house? Or are they outside yelling too? Your sibling is still here. You know, maybe if you feel okay with it, if you feel comfortable with it, maybe just go check in with them and see if they're doing okay. Because they're probably stressed and scared right now, too. You don't want to leave your bedroom? That's fine. That's valid. That's why I just said if you want to. I didn't say it was anything you had to do. I was just saying if you're up for it. Am I out of questions? Yeah. I'm just chilling at the moment. I'm kind of just like... tapped out a little bit. Show your new YouTube video? Alright. New YouTube video just dropped.
I know I may be young, but I've got traumas too. And I need to dump what I feel like dumping. So let me go and just listen. All these people look at me like I'm a crazy bitch. They didn't ever think it'd be okay for me to trauma dump on Twitch. Always saying crazy bitch, go get some therapy. I'm just trying to deal with this thing called BPD. Real life I come off quiet, may come off shy, but I feel like talking over sharing when I watch this guy. What's healthy though, what's obsession, what the hell, who cares? 'cause I get so high when it's streaming there. I'm a slave for him. I cannot hold it, I cannot control it. I'm a slave for him. I won't deny it, I'm not trying to hide it. Baby, won't you give me some attention? Give me everything I crave. Oh baby, won't you give me some attention? I love it when you say my name.
I was way too bold with this. You know, I respect it. I respect it. I respect the bravery. Also, you've got good comedic sense. You know, in the lyrics, even in the writing. You've got a knack. You've got talent. Good work. Good work. Round of applause. You hate your voice? Yeah, and I don't like to go back and watch clips of myself either. I think it's weird. I don't like to listen to myself. You're not alone there. Why do you think why do you think I'm always asking other people to clip for me? I don't want to do it. I don't want to watch me. I liked watching myself swear. Well, that was pretty funny. That was different, though. I think it's time to watch a fruit bat eat a banana.
Mr. Belgrave, and he was rescued by Paul last night. He'd been caught in between two palings and a fence for about a couple of days. Let's see if he wants some nani for breakfast. Let's say he'd have some nani. Oh, he's a hungry man. So he's done some damage to his thumb. The rest of him's fine. He was terribly thirsty last night and very hungry. Some more nani, darling? Good boy. So we've just got to treat his thumb and make sure that it's carefully cared for. Thumbs are terribly important to flying foxes. They use them for climbing and grooming and all sorts of things, and also for holding the girls when they're mating. So we really... Oh, sweetie, you're okay. He's very frightened. They're going to eat the nani? And there's not a lot of skin on thumbs there. You're right, eat your nani up, darling. There's not a lot of skin on thumbs, so they've got to be treated very carefully. We got 4 bats in yesterday. We had a busy day, didn't we? Yeah, we did. You're very frightened, aren't you?
Oh, hold on, we gotta watch Master Forest.
So, Mr. Batzel and I have just come back from a rescue. We picked up Mr. Forest here. He's in a filthy mood. So, he was called in by Colin. Colin found him low in his grevilleas this morning. So I think what's happened is that he may have come in to feed on the grevilleas and there just simply wasn't enough room for him to take off. It was quite a small yard. So he may have hit the house. But there's no injuries on him. See if you like another bit of none. There's always room for banana. There's always room for banana. So he'll be in care for a little while. He's got no injuries. There's nothing at all I can find on him. Everything's working well. So he'll have a little holiday in care until we're sure that he's not concussed or that there's no issues. And you can go home. You could
Very cute, but no bats harbor a lot of unwanted diseases. This is a flying fox. I don't think they're as bad as like the little bats. I think I think a reason why so many bats harbor diseases is it's those little bats. Because they live in like very dense colonies and there's a lot of like unhygienic circumstances. But seriously though, just look at this. I have no idea. No, you're right. Like a lot of like rats, bats, mice, they do harbor and carry a lot of disease. But to my understanding, it's especially like the smaller the mammal, the smaller the animal, like the more chance you're gonna run into like I don't know. I could be wrong. I could be wrong. That was my understanding of it. Do you have a PO box by any chance? Casey and I do have a PO box actually. I don't have it listed under my channel, but we share it, so I guess I could. Chat, should I add PO box information underneath the stream? Should I do that? I tell you what, why not? I guess so. You know, maybe people might want to send me a card or something. You know, it'd be nice to get a card that says, "Hey, what you said was really helpful, and I really mean it." And then I can put it on my fridge. Okay. Okay. It's been added to my about me. To what PO box would one send such a thing? Yeah, I put the information underneath the stream in the about me section. Since you twisted my arm. You're gonna send me a mug? That would be so kind of you. That's also totally unnecessary, but that's very kind of you. You know, I do what I do expecting nothing in return. I just want to help people. But I know that some people like to, show their appreciation, and, I feel like I shouldn't prevent them from doing that if they choose to. But there's no obligation, no expectation. You know, you know what I mean? All right, I'm getting kind of sweaty. I'm feeling tapped out today. Had to go furniture shopping. So I think I'm just gonna go outside, go get some fresh air, just go chill for a bit before I have to hop into a voice call with my friends and do we're gonna do our RPG thing. Did we get a new couch? Yes. Let me try to find it.
So, Mr. Batzel and I have just come back from...
Accidentally pick up all my old tabs. Okay, it's this one. Not that, okay.
So, Mr. Batzel and I have just come back from a rescue.
I'm trying to show you the couch. It gets here on Friday. We had to go order it. We went up to Nebraska Furniture Mart. It reclines. We also got the chair. Very official looking. Oh, it's gonna look good. We wanted some grown-up furniture. Short stream. Unfortunately, there's got some stuff I need to do. We'll be back tomorrow. I don't think I'll have anything interfering with the time, so I think we'll have a nice full-length stream tomorrow. We'll be here for Therapy Thursday. Casey's making dinner, so please go cheer her on. I mail you stuff. Can you open it on stream? Sure, since you requested this. How close are we to his partner, by the way? We're working on it. We're working on it, alright? We're getting there. I think streaming on the weekend has helped, because my weekend numbers have actually been pretty good. I get a lot of people that come in on the weekend. Like, my weekday numbers are growing, but my weekend numbers have actually been pretty good. So. Like right now, I'm averaging about like 70, and I need to be 75. But I'm up like 40, 50. So we're growing. We're growing all right. Also, my hours streamed this month versus like last month. It's wild. Like the most I've ever streamed in a month was like around 100 hours. But this month I have streamed 126 hours. I'm in my grind era. I'm in my grinding era. We're on the up and up. So thank you for being a part of it. Thank you for being a part of it. Thank you for being a friend. Travel down the road and back again. Alright, I think I'm gonna play you off. I'm gonna play the music. Alright, everybody. I hope you have a great night. Take good care of yourselves. Stay safe out there. And I'll see y'all tomorrow. Alrighty. Until next time. Adios, amigos.